Hey, hello. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Gen Z Christian Podcast. It's your host, Pastor Paul. Yeah, happy Tuesday, guys. Hope you guys are doing well. Hey, Justin. Good to see you. I'm just going to be kind of doing a little bit of a Q&A today, or like a Ask Me Anything. And so I'll be open to questions from anyone, any kind of question. It can be a Bible question, a theology question, a Christian like living question, or it can just be some random questions too. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know how many people will join us today, so not too many join, and there's not that many questions, or it'll be a lot of questions from the same people, and that's okay too. But before we start, I wanted to take some time to read some good news to you guys, like random good news. So nothing like my personal good news, but just stuff going on out there. Because sometimes, not to say we should pretend like the bad things aren't happening, but it's just sometimes it's good to remember there's other stuff going on too. Because what the news outlets tend to really focus on, of course, is all the bad news, and they do that, of course, to just tell people the news, but they also do that because that gets the most views and clicks and so on. And so, let's see, the first article here I'm looking at. This is kind of cute. So we have let me see if I can show you guys this. How can I show this to you guys? Let's try to do it here. Let's do it on this screen. Like so. So, this is the world's oldest living dog. It set a new record. A new record for the world's oldest dog living has been officially confirmed in Florida. Born on the 9th of January 2001, meet 21-year-old Chihuahua Toby Keith. That's pretty funny. That's kind of surprising. I mean, 21 definitely sounds old, but I don't know. I had if I would have guessed, I would have thought a little bit older than 21, maybe 25 or something. But yeah, 21's definitely up there, and especially for little dogs, as far as I know. No, is it the opposite? Do little dogs live longer? No, I think it is. Yeah, typically little dogs don't live as long, I think. Um, oh man, you guys are seeing all my tabs. Let me close those. But anyway, that's pretty funny. So there's a nice little article about the oldest living dog, little Toby Keith. And let's see what else do we have going on here. Uh, let's see. This is cool because this is relevant to my life right now and someone's life. We're expecting a baby, so an ultrasound that takes a baby's first pictures may also help the blind to see. That's interesting. So it says the neurons present in the retina of the eye possess mechanically sensitive channels that respond to mechanical stimulation. These neurons are activated when we use ultrasound to generate mechanical pressure. And so that's interesting. That's really interesting. So maybe some technology, the similar technology for ultrasound, ultrasounds could be used to give sight to the blind, which is technically like using sound to give sight. That's really interesting. Okay, well, let's come back now. All right, so that was a little bit of random good news, but I'm open to questions. So as you guys are joining in, anyone who's here, just shoot me a question. It can be anything. I'll give you my opinion on that. I've been listening to, or I've been kind of listening to like what's going on with that trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and I typically wouldn't care about these kinds of things. I think they are overall a pretty big waste of time. Not just because there's just so much that they cover in a trial in a court case like that, but it's also a waste of time in that these are just two celebrities that ultimately has no bearing on my life and has no impact really in the world overall. But it still is an interesting case just because, yeah, we're seeing what's going to happen. Will the jury decide that Amber was lying about the abuse that she said she underwent during her marriage, or will they find Johnny Depp to be guilty of that? But I guess like this case actually is more about, it's not so much about did the abuse happen, it's more about Johnny Depp is originally suing Amber now after he already lost, I believe, in London. He's suing her for defamation, which just means because of the things that Amber Heard put out there in the news, in the media, about what went on in the marriage. And so he's saying defamation because he's saying it's not true. And so he's suing basically to defend his reputation and to defend his image. And then I guess Amber Heard is countersuing him as well. So that's kind of like what the main thing is for this case. It's not actually about whether or not anyone was abused. It's a little bit more about, it's kind of, like it is, but it isn't. So it's a very interesting case. But anyway, I've been watching it just because it's been kind of eye opening. It reminds you at the end of the day that everyone in Hollywood, well, just about everyone in Hollywood, they're very broken people, like very, very broken people, and they get into some very dark stuff. Probably more than the average person, just because of the high life that they live. Like they're very famous and rich, and that's just a combination, as we know, for a lot of bad things. Like, not to say a Christian can't be famous and rich, they can, but off the top of my head, I can't think of really anyone that really fits that, like, celebrity, Hollywood celebrity, but Christian and rich. Not too many. There might be a few possibilities, but yeah. Anyway, okay, so Justin's question: should we avoid Disney if you know the news? So that's a really good question, Justin. I haven't been watching and reading too much of that news, to be honest. So yeah, feel free to kind of give me some like context for your question. I'm guessing like some of the things I know that's going on. There was the how do I put this? So I know in Florida had essentially, I'm gonna probably be getting this wrong, but this is just what I understand about the situation. So I might be understanding completely wrong. But Florida had essentially been giving Disney certain privileges, like Disney World certain privileges, when it comes to maybe things like, I don't know, just like their ability to do what they want to do in terms of expansion and all those things. And so now Florida, under the governor, I guess he kind of repealed that, or yeah, I think he repealed that. So that's one issue. Then there's like the don't say gay issue, which overall, like, yeah, I'm no expert on that topic, so I can't give a very informed opinion. All I know about it essentially is I'm going to explain it the way that I understand it. Okay, so this may not be exactly accurate, but this is just from what I've gathered. So I believe the issue centers around what age is it appropriate to teach on topics like transgenderism and the LGBTQ issue. And so Florida, the don't say gay kind of mandate, I guess we'd call it, would prevent at least I'm going to just say public institutions. I don't know if it applies also to private institutions, but public institutions from teaching young people about such topics as transgenderism and gender identity. And so that's kind of the basis of what I know about the Don't Say Gay bill. And so on that topic, I know, like Disney essentially, is against that because, Florida being the state where they have one of their major resort / amusement parks. I don't know if their headquarters is, no, I think their headquarters is, someone tell me if you know where the headquarters of Disney is. Anyway, so I know that Disney essentially came out against the Don't Say Gay bill. So there is that kind of feud going on. So my short opinion, let me see if Justin said anything else. No, he has not yet. So my short opinion on this, and this really goes for, this is still a work in progress. So don't take what I say as like, I guess that's the answer. Like that's a pretty good answer. I'm very much still developing my opinion. It's difficult. Because I feel like there's so many things. If you take the time to really research, the things that we consume, you may end up not being able to, or like ethically, morally, you wouldn't want to buy those products or support those companies in any way. Like for example, for years I didn't use Shell gas. And the reason for that is I read a story about how Shell had essentially paid off some people to go and, I'm just going to put it this way, but to go out and kill off a certain tribe that they needed to get out of the way in order to go ahead and go in and either expand their operations or whatever it is. Like that tribe's presence was a nuisance to Shell, and so Shell paid off these like mercenaries type people to go and kill off these people. So Shell didn't directly go and kill these people, but there was evidence that they had paid off the people that went and did that. So for years, I didn't buy Shell gas because of that. I do currently buy Shell gas. And my justification for that is, well, I did some digging like on the other companies, like, one other major company is BP. They have other like similar shady stories. Like you can just spend some time researching them. Same with Nestle. Nestle owns, it's like a huge mega parent company that owns like so many other things. We look at probably, I'm trying to think of some other like conglomerate entities. I can't think of them. There's so many though. And so this sounds lazy, and I admit that maybe to a degree it is lazy. It sounds lazy, but my opinion right now is I don't know how to be consistent in terms of avoiding all of the shady companies, right? But then, like I think the point is too, like, or like I think a big consideration I have right now is like, well, while I can't maybe track down every single like shady company and like avoid every shady company, or even like maybe what the aim should be, what the goal should be is I need to still have some kind of standard, right? Like even if I'm saying, well, every company is corrupt and shady, there's got to be a line somewhere, right? And so for some people, this how Disney is responding to like what's going on in Florida and their stances on things. I did hear too from someone, this is just kind of from, someone who heard it. So I didn't hear it directly myself, or I didn't see the evidence myself, but I heard that there were some meetings in a back room that were recorded. And I think it was like a director of some sort, someone in production perhaps, that was like saying something along the lines of, you know, by a certain year, we're going to have 50% of our content have like something to do with the LGBTQ agenda in there. And so there are very clear plans, it seems, with the productions or the things that Disney is producing to have the LGBTQ agenda be at the forefront of what they're doing. So that's a clear reason for some people, I would say, to completely avoid Disney. I'm not there yet. I could be. I could see myself getting there, but personally, right now, just because of what am I trying to say? Yeah, because of my overall reasoning of there's so much corruption in general in this world with all of these companies. If you do any digging, you're gonna find a lot of stuff that's really dark and twisted with just about every major company. So again, that's a bit lazy, and I admit that. I'm just saying that's just kind of where I'm at currently, but I'm working through that. Because again, like if I were to avoid everything that I know of today that is shady, like every company, every product, uh, it would be tough, like extremely, extremely tough to do anything. Because again, I think every major gas company has extremely shady dealings. I think vast majority of our like supermarket food comes from like Nestle or some of these companies that are extremely shady and corrupt, and are obviously doing some very evil stuff. So that's my current opinion, but I'm working on it. So, but good question, Justin. Should we avoid Disney? If you know, yeah. So Disney employees must never say "ladies and gentlemen" to children because Disney makes the employees do that. Yep. Uh, yeah. I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Like again, like if their goal is in 50, not 50 years, but 50% of the content that they're producing has at the forefront of what they're doing, like an LGBTQ agenda. I think that's just, yeah, there could very well be a day where it just becomes naturally unwatchable for Christians anyway, just because it's just like, well, this is just not for us. Because it's very clearly, pushing a certain agenda. And at that point, at least at that point, I do believe it would come clear to me, like, well, I just can't watch, I can't even watch Disney anymore because that's all it's about is pushing this agenda. But it's definitely, yeah, it's definitely already taking a lot of strides there. Like some of the stuff I've watched recently, more and more, it's becoming like that. So, okay, we have another question coming in from someone named, does God have a gender? That's a great question. My short answer, while I look up some stuff, is yes. I do. I would say so, that God does have a gender. But it's maybe not that simple. So let's see. What passage do I want to look up for this? Mm, um, Give me just a second here to look something up that's worth showing. Okay. Okay. Well, let me just start talking while I'm kind of like researching, or like not researching, looking up some stuff. So, we start. I would start somewhere like Genesis 5. Okay, so Genesis 5, or let's go even further back. Let's go back to Genesis 2. So when God was creating Adam and Eve, um, Genesis 1. Genesis 1. When God is creating Adam and Eve, he made them in his image, right? And it says here in verse 26, then God said, let us make mankind in our image and our likeness. And then so that they can do these things. But you have Adam and Eve being made in the image of God. Now, I don't think that means necessarily that well, God is both male and female. No, I think the short answer, like the part of the answer too, and I said it's why it's not that simple, is God is spirit, right? God is when we meet God face to face in heaven, God God will be spirit. God the Father, at least, and the Spirit will not have a form. We will, I think, see them as some kind of form in heaven, I believe, but they don't have a physical body, right? And so, in that sense, God is spirit, so there is no gender. But having said that, if we look at how does God want us to relate to Him? Like, how does God want us to, yeah, just relate to Him, and how, like, what kind of relationship do we have with God? Various places in the Bible show us that God either refers to Himself or different people in the Bible refer to God as Father, right? I just read a verse sometime last week. I think it was in the Psalms. God as Father. Um, See if I can find it. Well, okay. I'm just gonna read some other ones. I can't find the one I was thinking of, but First Corinthians. So Paul in the New Testament, he's saying, "Yet for us there is one God, the Father," right? Same thing in Ephesians, one God and Father of all. Jesus in the Gospels, of course, calls the Father his Father, but he also tells us that it's our Father as well. Even when he teaches like the Lord's Prayer, he says, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." Psalms does have some references. It's not the one I was thinking of, but Psalm 68:5, Father of the fatherless and protector of widows. There just aren't really any references you can come by that talk about God the Father as mother. If it was like equal, then you could either say, well, then God has aspects of father and mother, or God is just equally. He's not. He doesn't have. He's not meant to be thought of as any gender, and so that therefore there's a lot of references about him being a mother too. But there just isn't that. So while God is spirit, in that, where do we get that? God is spirit. I want to say that's John. God is spirit. Yeah, John 4:24. God is spirit, and those who worship Him must worship in spirit and truth. So, yes, God is spirit, but how does He want to have a relationship with mankind? It's as Father, which is masculine, which is male. There'd be no reason to think of, well, that's just a title, and not you're not meant to think of any gender when you think of Father. That's like absolutely like a very modern idea. The ancient mind would have never thought that. It would never even be a possibility that, oh, like, even though God is our Father, like, we're not meant to think of Him as masculine in any way. No. In His dealings with mankind, God presents Himself as Father, as the head of the church, as the head of all of creation, as the head of this family of God, right? And so that's very intentional. And so, yeah, in that way, God doesn't have an actual gender, like the Father doesn't have an actual gender because He's spirit, but how He deals with us, there is a gender there, I guess, like in that relationship, there is a gender. Very good question. All right, what's up? Oh, you guys are seeing my scrolling back there. That's weird. Why is it doing that? Oh, that's why. Okay, there we go. I fixed that. What's up, Michael? Yeah, any other questions? Shoot them my way, guys. I'll be on here for at least another, I don't know, 10 or so minutes, so make the most of the time. But great question, Salmonim. I like it. I hope that answered your question too. But yeah, I appreciate the questions, guys, because as I've said in the past on like some of these podcast episodes, uh, having to answer these kinds of questions or do these kinds of episodes, it forces me to kind of hunker down on something like more than maybe I had been or more than I had wanted to. Forces me to pick something where maybe I had left something a little ambiguous. Not this particular topic about the gender of God, but other similar topics. So, any other questions? Shoot them my way. I'm ready for you. It's a nice day today, too, by the way. How do we witness to people that we're really close with? It feels so different from talking to a stranger. Mm. Yeah, that is a great question, Michael. I'm trying to think of a good passage to supplement here or like use as the basis of my answer. Um, the only ones I can think of are not very encouraging. This is kind of related, not exactly, but it's part of my answer. Let's look at this one. So yeah, so this is Mark 6:4, and Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his hometown, and among his relatives, and in his own household." Um, all that to say, yeah, with the people that know us and know you, they can definitely be the most difficult people to witness to because, well, I think there's many reasons, but they don't expect you to have any any knowledge that they don't, or like I think it comes down to pride where if someone that you know, like let's say it's someone you grew up with, like a friend you grew up with or a relative you grew up with, you've known them and we've been under this like similar conditions, and yet this person, let's say you, Michael, you're telling me that you have some kind of knowledge of truth that I don't. So that not only does that say something about your life, it says something about my life where I'm missing out on something. Like I've missed it, and I think the pride in our heart will tend to get in the way of that situation and cause us to think, well, yeah, they're I don't want to. Essentially, I don't want to listen to this guy because, who is he to say, like he knows something that I don't, right? Um, that's kind of my short answer on this. Like that's kind of the negative side I would say. So it's just something to understand that unfortunately witnessing to the people that we know overall is just the hardest thing. And it's usually because of pride. Most often because of pride. On the positive side, let me see if I could offer any any encouragement here. Beyond like the first encouragement I would give is just we have to always remember we're not the ones to change someone's heart. It's not up to us to make someone go from like being a stubborn unbeliever to having enough humility to accept the gospel message. That's not we can't do anything when it comes to that. Um, Got a verse here. Let's see, Romans 8. Let's look at that really quick. Okay, let's look at this. Romans 8, verse 27. It's just a reminder that it says, "And he who searches hearts knows what is in the mind of the Spirit, because the Spirit intercedes for the saints according to the will of God." And then, yeah, for those whom he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his Son, in order that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. And those whom he predestined, he also called. And those whom he called, he also justified. And those whom he justified, he also glorified. So at the end of the day, you know what it is. God is the searcher of hearts. God is the one. God is the one who is interceding. The Spirit is interceding on our behalf. And then God is the one who's called. God is the one who has predestined. And we don't fully understand. I don't fully understand what that predestination exactly means. I think the people who do, they might very well know something that I don't understand fully. Where I do sometimes think the people who do think they understand it, they've oversimplified it. Either way, there's definitely an element here where God knows who he is going to choose and who he's going to call. And so knowing that, when I witness to my loved ones, my friends, my family, I really just have to kind of remove the emotion from that situation as much as possible. Of course, like, God doesn't want you to be robotic when you're witnessing to your loved ones. I just mean that the emotion can make you feel like, oh yeah, I just really, really want to do something here. Like, I really want to change their heart, and like I feel like I have to somehow really persuade them, and then if they reject the gospel, they're also rejecting me. Like, there's just a lot of emotions that get involved, which makes it just so much harder. So, yeah, I think the encouragement is, just know, hey, this is the work of God. I leave that up to God. If I have an opportunity to witness and to spread the gospel with my loved ones, then I will do it, and I'll do it the same as I would anyone else. I think that can just, that's probably my best encouragement that I would give on that question. Yeah, I hope that helps. But yeah, if you have any clarifying questions, let me know. And any other questions out there, go ahead and ask as well. I think there's just a few of us here though, so I'll probably take one, maybe two more questions, and yeah, that'll be it for today's episode. Great question. There was, maybe while I'm waiting for the next question, there was another verse I was thinking of. Hmm. Anyway, I guess another. It wasn't. I can't think of the one I was thinking of, but I can refer to another one that is relevant. I'd like to show this one here. Acts 20:31, which says, "Therefore be alert, remembering that for 3 years I did not cease night or day to admonish everyone with tears." Um, this this particular context does have to do more with Paul wanting to warn them against false teaching. But it's very similar to other passages where Paul, he expresses that just with tears, and like, I've been praying so hard for these ones to wake up, for them to come back to the faith or come back to the church, essentially, right? And so just know it can be a very grueling, like emotionally grueling thing to witness to loved ones, to people we really care about. But we're called to just strive towards never giving up on those people, and we just keep trying. That's all we can do. We can just keep trying and keep doing our best to share the gospel, to bear with them, to be as present as we can without, what's the word I'm looking for, enabling like their sinful lifestyle. And so, yeah. Hey, all right. Any last questions? Last call here. Thank you so much for the questions so far. There are no more questions after about a minute, then yeah, I'll, I'll wrap up the episode just like that. Um, yeah, I just want to encourage you guys, as you guys are finishing up school, just to stay focused on what's important. Remember, your classes and your grades are just but a small piece overall in your life, to your entire life story, however long that story might be. I know it feels pretty massive right now, but one day, yeah, you're gonna forget that in a way, you're gonna forget, what you even went through as a high schooler or a junior high student. So just remember the bigger picture. That while yes, this can be pretty all encompassing right now, and keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your eyes on eternity and God's greater purpose for you, so that you might be encouraged. Okay. Final call for any questions. If not, yeah, I'm going to sign off for today. But thank you so much for the questions. Maybe a plug for anyone who's thinking about coming to the lock-in. Lock-in signups close tomorrow night, and so please come out to the lock-in. We're gonna have a really good time. Okay, looks like no other questions. So thank you so much, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the questions. I pray you guys would be encouraged today. Let's go day by day with the Lord. Let's look to Him. Let's encourage one another too. That's so essential. Over the years, yeah, I've heard various students by the end of their youth group or different points in their youth ministry life, they say like, Pastor Paul really helped me, and I'm very thankful for that. But I probably heard more, like two times as many testimonies, or three times, I would say, maybe even testimonies of, well, what really helped me was when my friend reached out to me when when I was feeling really low in my faith, when I had even been backsliding in my faith. I was walking away from the Lord, but my friend reached out to me, or even gave me some tough love. Let's be prepared to do that. I always think that overall, it's better to potentially lose a friendship while trying to show someone love and do the right thing with them and for them, rather than just kind of sit idly by and see them really go far away from the Lord. I would say overall, it's the much better risk to take. On the one hand, you're risking potential loss of friendship, and the other hand, you're risking not having warned your friend about the direction that their life was going in. I think one has a lot bigger stakes than the other. Okay. All right, guys. So that's it for today. Love you guys. Stay safe. Don't sleep too late. Eat your veggies and all the other good stuff. Okay. So that's it, guys. God bless you. I love you. Peace.